Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of Business Morning. It's the first edition for the brand new week. I'm Harriet Agminyi. Glad you could join me. Welcome to our viewers here and around the world. Let's quickly take a look at our business diary for the week. Now, happening today and in just a few minutes, I'm sure, will be the opening ceremony of the Nigeria Economic Summit, which begins in the nation's capital, Abuja. It's the 22nd Economic Summit with the theme Made in Nigeria. Of course, there'll be the private sector will be there, officials from the public sector as well, and non-governmental organization operators in all of these industries will be there to talk about how to get Nigeria on a stable, long-term growth path with all areas in focus, particularly the small and medium-scale enterprises. These are the ones that actually drive the economy. They're the ones that actually promote and produce made in Nigeria products. We've got a conversation coming up in just a bit with the Director General, Nigeria Textile Manufacturers Association. We'll be taking a look at some of the issues that are faced. And of course, you can weigh in on the conversation. You know how we do it. It's an interactive program. You can tweet at me. I'm at CTV Harriet. You can tweet at Bismoni, or you can tweet at Channels Television. Let's get your thoughts on some of those issues. Also, on the business diary for this week, the Debt Management Office is expected to offer 105 billion naira worth of bonds this week as traders look to take a cue from auctions result. And also this week, about 233 billion naira will mature into the financial system via OMO bills. Analysts believe that interbank lending rates will drop further as a result of the maturity. We'll take a look at where the markets actually finished off from last week, and we'll be talking to investment analyst with AfroInvest, Wale Olusi, to get his thoughts on this matter as well. But we've got a poll running for Business Morning, and it's actually with regards the conversation on Made in Nigeria by Nigerians. So the poll question is, which products made in Nigeria by Nigerians do you use or have given as a gift? We've got that running on our Twitter handle. So there you have it. So which one of these products? Clothes and jewelry, hair accessories, footwear, that's including slippers and shoes, bathroom supplies, or none of the above. So you can use the hashtags. That's if you want to send us an email, if you want to tweet at us. So that's the address you have there at BizMorning, or send an email to businessmorning@channelstv.com. So let's take a look at the stories that we're tracking at this time. The top stories for this hour in the world of business. The World Bank plans to make $1.3 billion available to Nigeria to fund its small and medium enterprises. The agreement was reached at the just ended IMF World Bank annual meetings in the United States. According to the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, the fund targets the takeoff of the Development Bank of Nigeria, which is expected to support the power sector as well as small, medium enterprises. In the meantime, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, says multilateral funding agencies have agreed to support Nigeria's investment in infrastructure through creative financial instruments. According to Mrs. Adeosun, the investment vehicle attracts more money to close the infrastructure gap. She says the multilateral agencies are particularly interested in housing and power sectors and have offered to support the country on how to get concessional loans for both segments of the economy. And then the central bank's financial system stability report has shown that 50 customers owe commercial banks 5.23 trillion naira, representing 33.4% of the total private sector credit exposure of 15.68 trillion naira. The FSS report, posted on the CBN website at the weekend, shows that 1.5 trillion naira loans were given to oil companies and some state governments in the first 6 months of the year. The report did not reveal the identities of the debtors, but it indicated that non-performing loans in the period under review grew by 158%, I beg your pardon, from 649.63 billion at the end of December 2015 to 1.67 trillion naira at the end of June 2016. Meanwhile, the central bank says it's renewing talks on the lingering Naira-Yuan swap deal to reduce the huge dollar demand on the Naira. Well, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele gave the indication at the just concluded International Monetary Fund World Bank Group yearly meetings in Washington, D.C. Mr. Emefiele also gave the assurance that much of networking meetings are going on with Nigeria's partners, but the discussion is more with China on the matter. So those are the top stories this hour. Of course, you know you can get more of those on our website, channelstv.com. On our business section, you can see all the stories we've got trending for you. But let's take a look at the markets from last week. Last week, we had only 4 days of trade because of the Independence holiday. And in the 4 days, the all-share index, market capitalization on all-share index saw a 1.77% appreciation. We saw total number of deals coming in at 12,352 at the end of the week. Volume was at 934.90 million and value at 6.35 billion naira. Let's quickly take a look at the sectoral indices. Banking, all indices actually finished in negative territory for the week just ended. Banking index dropped 2.88%. The insurance index is off marginally 0.08%. The consumer goods, oil and gas and industrial goods down 2.69, 1.16 and 5.32%. Let's also take a look at the fixed income segment of the market. And for the week just ended, we noticed that there was mixed trading, a slight rebound, if you like, in the bonds market and also in the treasury bills segment of the market. But let's talk more about this with Wale Olusi, who is an investment analyst with AfriInvest. Good morning to you, Wale.
Morning, Harry.
It's great to have you join me on the program. So I've already talked about what actually happened at the equities market for the week just ended. But let's start from that segment of the market. Taking a look at the equities market, what do you think largely shaped investors' appetite?
Well, particularly, we noticed that investors were really bearish on industrial goods stocks last week. As you can see, the sector was down about 5.1 or thereabout percent, and we saw a lot of sell sentiment on WAPCO and Shaka Cement. Can you hear me? Okay. So on WAPCO and Shaka Cement, we saw a lot of sell sentiment. Our thinking is that there's a likelihood that investors are thinking about they are approaching the Q3 earnings season right now. We think investors are very worried about the result that will be coming in from WAPCO and Ashaka Cement. And for that, we saw a lot of sell sentiment on those two stocks. The sector was down over 5%. Consumer goods sector and banking also followed. We saw a lot of sell sentiment on BT, on Zenith. So we think a lot of positioning ahead of what is to come in terms of Q3 numbers probably were some of the factors responsible for the 0.8% decline that we saw. I think before then, you will also observe that the market has been up for about 4 weeks. Different weeks, the market has sustained a consistent uptrend. So we think there's also a likelihood of some profit taking after that, 4 weeks of consistent uptrend. So there's a likelihood that some investors are taking profit. Because they're also looking at what the Q3 numbers might be and the likely reaction from investors. So why wait this moment and just quickly take profit before the results are out?
All right, Wale, just hold on to your thoughts there. I just need to make this programming announcement. Of course, Business Morning is live to you from Channels Television Global Headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. But of course, today is the first day of a 3-day event. That is the Nigeria Economic Summit holding in the nation's capital, Abuja. Focus is on Made in Nigeria. The event is starting right about now. So most of our viewers, you can only watch Business Morning on our UK platform that's on channels 24. So we'll continue with, we'll have, of course, Business Morning running on UK 24, and then on our other platforms, you can get to watch the opening ceremony and some other sessions that will be coming from the Nigeria Economic Summit, which is happening right about now. So Wale, let's continue our conversation. Of course, so we see that investors are taking a cautionary look, and even though they have renewed appetite in some of the other stocks on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, while they're still waiting for those results. Let's quickly talk about the week just ended for the fixed income segment of the market. Now, for the bonds market, it was largely quiet, and we saw that sentiment was mixed across tenors. Did this come as a surprise to you?
No, not at all. We don't think it's a surprise. If you look at the fact that there was a primary market option last week in the T-bills market, there's a lot of activity in that space. Of course, investors are probably going to be positioning ahead of the bond option for this week. So we're not surprised by the quiet mode in that space last week. I think investors are broadly waiting for the opportunity in the primary market before investing a lot of money in the bond market. It has been broadly quiet for a while. You will even notice that most of the activities have always been concentrated at the shorter end of the curve. So I think investors are majorly interested in what's going to happen by the end of this week.
So about 105 billion naira worth of bonds will actually be sold by the Debt Management Office. How do you expect subscription to be, particularly as we've seen investors' appetite towards the fixed income, towards bonds in the last couple of trading sessions actually very heightened?
Yeah, we don't think it's going to be different from what we've noticed the past few months. There's a likelihood that it's going to be hugely oversubscribed, like that happened last month and the month before. So we think interest is still very strong, and investors are going to oversubscribe, and we won't be surprised if they find the DMO a lot more than they initially planned for some of these issues, like we saw a couple of months ago. So yeah, we think interest is strong, and investors will subscribe, and there's a likelihood that if it's subscribed, some of the allotments might be, allotted beyond what was initially planned.
So let's talk a little bit about interbank money market now, and about 233 billion naira is expected to mature via OMO bills this week. How do you expect the rates to be? Of course, when that happens, rates always likely drop.
Yeah, that's definitely drop rate in the short time. But if you look at what the CBN has been doing in recent time, there's been a lot of aggressive mop-up, like they did last week. There was actually a maturity last week that improved the amount of liquidity in the system. And we saw rates touching single digits, which has not happened in a couple of weeks. But following the what happened, the CBN came in, bumped up aggressively here, and they took rates back to double digits. So we think that's what is going to happen. CBN is not relenting in its tightening stance. We think they are still going to be tightening significantly. And the fact that there's a bond option, once again, maybe there's a lot of liquidity that will be going into that space. So we think rates are still going to be looking upward this week. We look at all of this.
So do you expect the same also from the Forex market? Because just last week, Travelex actually sold about $15,000 to the 3,000 registered Bureau de Change operators. And most analysts are of the view that that will continue to, that will improve liquidity in the market, and will probably see the naira to the dollar at the parallel market easing up a bit. As of now, at least for this morning, where we're starting off from, it's 470 naira. Do you share the same view?
Yeah, no doubt. As again, some speculations last week that the naira was going to touch 500. I think the news about Travelex was actually a very good one for the market. Parallel market was appreciated about 2.4% last week because of the news. So I think that will continue this week. CBN also did really well last week. They supported the market with about 1.5 million in dollar term. So that also improved the amount of the value of the naira in the interbank market. So our outlook on the currency market this week, both at the interbank space and parallel market space, you look at these two news coming together, is of course expected to improve performance of the naira. We think it's going to it's going to continue to stand against the greenback.
All right, thank you so much, Wale, for joining me on the program, and of course reviewing the markets with us and giving us an expectation of what we should expect from the market this week.
Thank you for having me, Ari.
Wale Olusi is an investment analyst with AfriInvest there. He joins us with his perspectives on the markets. But Business Morning will be back in just a minute, and we'll be focusing on, of course, the Nigeria energy market, and we'll be talking about buying made in Nigeria. Stay with us.